like you must have some basic understanding of Python or any other programming language, and you must have understanding of SQL, because these two things are very much required in terms of while learning the data engineering, because you have to create some ETL pipelines when you are when you will be working with the data engineering thing. So you have to create some ETL pipelines. Okay, and so to create those ETL pipelines, you must be aware of any programming language and SQL. So preferable will be Python or Java, because in GCP, Python and Java SDK are very much supported, and every service of this GCP has that ability to work with Python and Java. Okay, so that's why these two programming languages are preferable. So I will assume like you must have some basics, you know some basics of Python and some SQL, so that we can deep dive into directly into our GCP data engineering course. So basically in data engineering thing, there are two types of solutions are present, like data pipelines are present, which is like first one is batch pipeline and second one is real time pipeline. So we will be working we will be working with both the types of pipelines, and so like for batch pipelines we will be using some other services like data flow and composer, BigQuery, and data flow is associated with Apache Beam SDK. So I will be, when we will be learning about the data flow, I will be teaching you the Apache Beam, all of the Apache Beam framework. And Apache Beam framework is also written in Java, and it supports the Python. Python SDK is also available. So we will be using the Python programming language throughout this course. Okay, so I will let you know like which services are we going to covered in the throughout this particular course. So like first of all, I will be covering some basics of cloud computing, and in under this cloud basics of cloud computing, we will be learning about the regions and zones, like how many types of regions present, what is the region, what is the zone, how many types of zones are present. Okay. After that, we will be learning about the IAM and admin. So basically, this IAM and admin tool, or we can say IAM and admin service, is used to control accesses on your cloud. Okay. So we will be learning about this. After this, we will be learning about the cloud storage, like how to work. The cloud storage behaves as a data lake in GCP. So how to work with cloud storage, how to create buckets, and how to store your data, how to access your data, how to implement the different security levels and the retention levels on cloud storage buckets. Then this is the basics of cloud computing under data engineering. After this, we will be starting from data warehouse. So BigQuery is our data warehouse. Very popular data warehouse is present, and this is a 100% analytical warehouse. Okay, so we will be giving like 10 to 15 days in learning BigQuery, because throughout all of your course, we will be using BigQuery as your sink. Okay, so we will be working with BigQuery in a very great detail, like how to create the native tables, how to create external tables, how to create different types of views and stored procedures and all. So and the BigQuery specific functions we will be learning on them. So 10 to 15 days we will be learning on BigQuery. After BigQuery, I will be starting with your Apache Beam SDK. So first of all, like around 6 to 7 days, we will give to Apache Beam SDK and try to learn like how this Apache Beam SDK work and all. After learning Apache Beam SDK, we will be working with Dataflow. Okay, so Dataflow is a tool by which you can create your all of the pipelines. Okay, so under analytics, you will find your data flow tool here. Okay. So basically, after learning the Apache Beam SDK, we will be covering this data flow, how to create data flow jobs, and how to create the data flow templates, how to provision them. Okay. After learning data flow, we will be learning about the composer. So composer is a orchestration tool. You might have heard of Airflow. Okay. So composer is uh, composer under composer environment, Airflow environment has created. So we will be learning about the Airflow, like what are the operators, how to create the decks, what are the basics of basics and tricks of Composer or Airflow. And after this particular thing, we will be creating one full-fledged pipeline consisting of BigQuery, data flow, and composer, which will be our batch pipeline. So for this we will be creating some two or three data pipelines or data solutions, where we will try to get the data from somewhere and try to ingest that data into BigQuery. After that we will try to get the data from BigQuery, and also everything will be automated using composer. And underneath, for transformations, we will be using the data flow, and for source and sync we will be using the BigQuery. Okay. So this particular architecture is serverless architecture. We in this particular architecture, we are not going to deal with any server. We do not need to set up any clusters and all. Okay. But now and this is the batch pipeline. Okay. Now if you want to deal with streaming data, then PubSub is there. So just after this we will be learning about the PubSub, and we will be learning about the real time data. And after learning about PubSub, we will again create two or three projects on the basis of real time pipelines, which will consist of Composer, PubSub, Dataflow, and BigQuery. Okay. So uh, using these all of the four tools, we will be creating two or three real time pipelines. So PubSub is also a serverless service. So these are all about the serverless services. After that, we will be learning about the data proc. So data proc, you might have heard of PySpark, Hadoop, Hive. Okay. So these are on-prem tools to create your pipelines, ETL pipelines or data engineering solutions. Okay. So let's suppose if you want to migrate Hadoop based or PySpark based jobs directly on GCP without rewriting the code. Okay. Then your choice will not be data flow, because data flow require a different technology, different than Spark, which is Apache Beam. Okay. But if you want to migrate your Spark jobs, okay, or Hadoop clusters, then you have to use Dataproc instead of Dataflow. So these Dataproc and Dataflow both are the ETL tools. So you will be after everything with Dataflow, we will be covering the Dataproc, and then after learning about Dataproc, we will be again using Composer to orchestrate this data proc jobs. And we will be creating two or three projects based on data proc for batch and real time pipelines both. So for data proc, I will assume you are already aware of some Hadoop concepts and Hive concepts and Spark concepts. Okay, we will be learning about the G on I will not be teaching you the on-prem concepts. I will be only teaching you data proc concepts, like how to work with, how to migrate those clusters here. Okay. After this, we will be learning about the Looker Studio. So Looker Studio is our data visualization service provided by Google Cloud. So this all of our data will be in BigQuery, whether either it is a whether either the data is is as a source or as a sink. Okay. So after getting our data here, we will be using Looker Studio to visualize those results, to analyze those results and creating some nice dashboards. Okay. So this will be our final stage. Looker Studio will be our final stage. And after this, if time allows, I will be showing you some other things as well, like Vertex AI, how to use Vertex AI, how to create pipelines for Vertex AI, and how and Docker and containerization. So I will be showing you some basics of Dockers and containerization, how to create Docker and containerized based apps, and how to deploy them. Okay, so these are all the services which will be covered under your data engineering class. Okay, so anyone have any questions for me?
Oh yeah, yes.
So yeah, go
Hello.
ahead.
So are
Yeah,
you going to cover the infrastructure side as well?
no, infrastructure I will not covering. This infrastructure is based on the DevOps team. So DevOps, if you are joining the DevOps course, then that will be covered. The infrastructure will be covered in that.
Okay. So basically, I'm very new to GCP.
Mhm. So
So
that's not an issue. Look, so like right now, I'm also working with some organization as a lead data engineer. So as a data engineer, you are not someone who is going to set up anything. Like let's suppose if you want to create your pipelines, even you do not need to set up the composer environment. Even you do not need to set up your data proc environment. Okay, the DevOps team will be there. They will set it up for you, and after that, you have to use that particular environment. Okay, so so the infrastructure or the setting up the things is not comes under data engineering things. Okay,
so is there any prerequisite for this? Any sort of
prerequisite
prerequisite?
prerequisite is the SQL and Python and some Hadoop and Spark concepts. Okay, basics of Spark, basics of Hadoop, basics of Python and SQL. That's it.
Okay. So basic what does in Python requires?
Python, like you must have a scripting knowledge of Python, like how to write a script in Python, how to create functions, how to write the conditional statements, how to deal with loops. So like the basics of programming, like we learned in the very first classes of our college time, the very basics, like how to create the loops, how to create the if else statements and all. So that thing into Python, like how to create these particular scripts using Python, so that we can directly deep dive into the things, because eventually I will be teaching you the Apache Beam SDK, which is the advanced SDK for Python. And without learning that Apache Beam SDK, you can't create the data flow jobs. So I will be teaching that particular thing. But before that, you must know like how to create the Python variables, how to create the Python loops, how to create the Python conditions and all. Okay. So that is so those basics you must have to be know.
Okay.
So any other questions from any other person?
Yes, Himanshu sir, what would be the duration of this course?
Duration will be around 45 to 60 days.
O- Okay,
So
and
is it 1 hour, sir?
Yeah, 1.5 hour, kind of.
will it be daily or on weekends?
I think it is on weekdays. I mean, except Sundays. I mean, Sunday will be holiday, and other than Sunday, there will be a class.
Okay, and for doubt clearing,
Mhm.
will there be
You
any
can,
separate?
I think, yeah, Visualpath will assign you some other mentor as well for doubt clearing. Otherwise, you can ask me out anytime, like in the class, like or any another class. That's not an issue.
Okay, because sir, actually, I have done a few classes for GCP data engineering from my organization itself. So
Mhm.
the weak spot that I find with myself is the Apache Beam programming when the transformation for
Right.
data flow happens.
Mhm.
So that is actually something which is still my weak spot, and
Right.
I
Right. The
I
Apache
need.
Beam is typical, I mean, slightly typical. So that's not an issue. I will be giving you enough days. Like 8 to 10 days I will be giving you. So that's not an issue. Apache Beam is not that much difficult, but not that much easy. Okay. So, but
Okay.
yeah, we will be figuring out the solutions. Okay, that's not an issue.
Okay. And sir, what about Spark?
Spark, it is better like if you have any deep understanding, because Spark is a different technology, right? And it requires around 1 to 2 months if you want to master Spark. I will, if time allows, I will also let you know like what the basics of Spark, but I will not be deep diving into that Spark thing because it is a separate course, right? And it will take
Yes.
around to 2 months, because everything like Hadoop, Spark covers Hadoop, Hive, and after that Spark comes. Okay, but if time allows, I will be showing you how to work with PySpark. What is the basics of PySpark? Okay, but very advanced knowledge I can't. I mean, it is not possible because of the time and the thing for the PySpark thing.
Yeah. So even if you could give some pointers like how to, and where to get into more details, so that would
Yeah,
also
that
help.
will be covered. That I will be covering when I will be starting that data proc. So along with data proc, we will be covering that particular basics of that Spark and PySpark as well. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So is there, sir, any difference like in approach from the organization side, like whether they want to do the transformation through Beam, like through data flow, or like they
Yes.
prefer to do it through data proc?
Yes, yes. There are pros and cons of both of the services. Like in Hadoop, everything is not serverless. Okay, if you are working with with Dataproc, if you are working, you have to manage the servers as well. Okay, and if you are working with data flow, it is very serverless. Now, if we talk about Dataproc, it is very white box. Everything is under your control. Okay, but with data flow there is no control. Okay, it is very black box. If any error is there, then if you are not figuring out any solution, then th- then you have to you have to raise a ticket to Google support team, and then they will give you the final logs and full logs. Okay, so that type of boxing is there with data flow. Okay, and that is the problem. Okay, but so depending on the architecture, because it is serverless. Okay, that's why data flow is very much popular. Okay, and if anyone wants their Hadoop clusters to migrate without rewriting the code, then they have no choice. Then they have to create the data proc jobs only. So that's how like architecture depends like what is your organization is dealing with. Like there are new services are also coming up like Google Batch for ETL solutions. So like Google Batch is a fully containerized. Okay, so you can write everything, every type of code like Python, PySpark, or Apache Beam, or Pandas, NumPy, anything you can use there. Just you have to create the containers and you can deploy that. But for for there are cons of the batch job as well. Like once you created one job, either you have to delete it, otherwise you cannot rerun that particular job. Okay, so that is the cons of that particular Google batch job. So that's how every service has some pros and cons, and depending on that, our architect team is there who decides which solution to use when.
So this migration of sir from Hadoop jobs onto Dataproc, this also lies with the data engineers or with
Yeah.
the infrastructure.
No, no, this also lies with the engineers only. Let's see, infrastructure team will only set up. What it will set up, it will set up the data pro clusters for you, and necessary security levels and accesses they will set up. Now to migrate all of your things like the jobs and the data and all, everything you need to do as a data engineer.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, so what will be the timings for the classes?
Timing, you can ask from your Visualpath coordinator. because they might have multiple batches, so they will arrange the required timing. Because like one of the batch is running on 7 to sorry 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Okay, so we will look into this. Like I will, you can ask your coordinators to like what will be the timing, and you can arrange as per your availability. Okay.
Okay. So, where will we be doing the practice? So, do you give a sandbox for us where we can play around,
No,
and
actually, Google Cloud offers you 3 months of free credits, $300 credits. Okay, so in the very first class, I will be letting you know like how to create Google GCP account and how to set it up. And that free account will be activated for 3 months. Okay, so you will be using that account, and that account has every services enabled. Okay, with some restrictions like quota limit restrictions, like let's suppose that free, let's suppose if you are working with the data in BigQuery, then the limit is around, I think, 1 TB of data you can deal with free account. Okay, after that you have to create the billing account, actual billing account. Okay, and that much limit is sufficient to learn the things from the GCP side. Okay, so that's not an issue. So there is a prerequisite. You must have a credit card. Okay, because to create that particular free GCP account, you will require the credit card, and an amount of 1 or 2 rupees will be deducted from your credit card to just verification, and it will be refunded. Okay, so the credit card is required. Okay, I don't know like debit card will work or not, because some of the debit cards not work like my if you have like ICICI or SDFC debit cards. So in those debit cards also some categories like Visa or Master. So some of the categories will work, but some of them will not work. But credit card, all of the credit card will work. Okay, so that's why. So it's better you have credit card, then you can create your free account. Otherwise you can try with your debit card as well.
okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.